Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Look who's right back in the room. To talk about that room, a man who spends more time in it than any of us, Kyle Juszczyk. This is a chance to go inside the 49ers locker room, brought to you by Harris Ranch Beef, legendary quality. Shop your local Rayleigh's supermarket for all your tailgating needs. Kyle, welcome back to Damon and Ratto. It's good to talk to you again, and whenever you talk to us, you get like a crate of meat sent to your house, so hopefully it's working out for you too.
Oh, yes, I love talking to you guys. Good to be here, and I'm sure we won't be talking about the quarterback room at all, so I'm excited for all your running back questions.
How up to your eyeballs are you with this?
Hey, I mean, as to be expected, I know there's been a lot of questions, a lot of comments, so it comes with the territory, so it's all right.
Can I tell you what has been like the overwhelming feeling from the fan base? Because, you know, I know Kyle likes to make the claim that you guys keep the noise out, and I understand that you guys need to keep the noise out, and it gets harder to do in a social media world that we live in. But I have always said that if you believe in Kyle Shanahan and you're a Niners fan, in Kyle we trust has to be your working like that. That's your that is your that's the programming, because Kyle chooses. That's the operation system. In Kyle you trust if you are a 49er fan, because he runs the entire show. Kyle Juszczyk, there is less trust in 49er fan base this week than ever in Kyle Shanahan. I'm guessing the locker room doesn't feel like that.
No, absolutely not. We don't feel that way. And honestly, it's a little confusing for me to even comprehend why fans do feel that way. Considering I think Kyle is... I think he deserves that trust, and he's built that reputation to have that trust. And, you know, he's had so much success in the decisions that he has made here that I think he's built that credit.
I think also that a lot of fans think that Kyle put his quarterback in position to get hurt, if not in that one play, in the usage rate of asking him to run. Trey Lance was on pace to run more running plays, designed quarterback running plays, and he's like running basically power fullback option, it felt like, with his quarterback. Then like Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, the greatest runners in football history, ran less at the beginning of their career than the pace that Trey Lance was on. Why do you think so many running plays were called for Trey Lance? And not just this year, but even going back to the Atlanta game. Is it because he hasn't developed into the passer that he needs to be? Or I said, yeah, it was the Arizona game, not the Atlanta game. Pardon me.
All right. I'm gonna try and give you an explanation, and I know it really doesn't matter what I say. Everyone has their opinion, and they're going to stick with it.
Oh, no, you can absolutely change minds. You're a smart guy. We respect what you're saying.
Let me try. I was a math major at Harvard, okay? So I'm going to drop some math on you. When you flip a coin, 50% is going to be heads or tails. When you flip it again, 50% is going to be heads or tails. That never changes. No matter how many times you flip that coin, you get tails 10 times in a row. That 11th flip, it's still 50-50. So what I'm trying to get at with in correlating this to Trey, he broke his ankle. Now that's an injury, that's a fluke injury. That's not something that comes from wear and tear. That doesn't come from, oh man, I've ran the ball 5 times this game, my ankle's getting weak, it's going to snap on the 6th run. That's not how it works. Maybe I could understand an argument if, you know, he separated his shoulder or he did something that was that had resulted from repetitive wear and tear, from continually getting hit. But this wasn't that. This was a freak thing on his ankle. And so I think, yeah, he's asked to run, you know, some run plays, but I think that was a strength of his, and it was a strength of our teams, and that really puts defenses in a bind. And yes, he may have been on that pace to be, you know, more than all these guys in history, but I don't think that was going to continue. I think maybe, you know, that eventually was going to set up a lot of things for our offense. So it's just like anything, when you're trying to set up play action, you're running the ball a lot downhill. I'm leading up on linebackers. We're not going to continue to do that forever. Eventually, we're going to build things off of that. And I think that's what we were doing with Trey. So I tried to put it out there. If you have any questions, I'll clarify. But let me know if that helps at all.
No, I do think you make outstanding points. And there is no level of wear and tear on an injury like this. I just thought that running your quarterback so it's a read option play, and it felt like normally on a read option, the option is the running back is going to be the guy who's going to run into the teeth of the defense, and the quarterback kind of keeps it and goes around the spot that the D end vacated. It felt like this was the reverse of that. Was that maybe a flaw in the play to begin with? Because it feels like running your highly valued, grooming him to be the present and the future quarterback into the teeth of the defense is just a risk that feels avoidable in week 2, quarter 1, against an opponent that you're moving the ball on. It just, like you said, though, it might have been setting something up later, but boy, bad circumstances.
I hear you. And honestly, I just think that was something that's really hard to defend. And we felt like there was an advantage there. And he's a big, strong guy, and he can do a good job running between the tackles. It's not necessarily that much safer running outside than it is on the inside. These are all NFL defenses. And quarterbacks run all over this league. So I really got to come to Kyle's defense here on this. I don't think that he really was putting Trey in a bad position. I think he was putting Trey in a good position to execute plays that he's good at and to get us to move the ball down the field and, like I said earlier, set up plays for later.
By the way, I really appreciate it. I appreciate your explanation and all the years that we've been talking to you, Kyle Juszczyk. This is the first time you actually pulled out the Harvard card. So I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
I had to do it eventually.
Eventually you have to. If I went to Harvard, it would be an opening move for me most of the time. So
you went to Indiana, it's an opening move.
I do. I'll talk about the Hoosiers like we're a Ivy League school. But go ahead. This is Ray Ratto, by the way, Kyle Juszczyk. It's not just me here today. How you doing?
Yeah. How you doing, man?
Oh, give it time. How much different, and you don't have to get into any specifics here, but how much different does the offense have to be, even with Jimmy Garoppolo back as quarterback, just so that this team is presenting different looks to teams that are probably poring over last year's games to scout tendencies for this year?
Honestly, I don't think we need to be really that much different. It's not like, for years we've been running, basically the same offense with Jimmy. And, each year you always evolve a little bit and, you try to break some tendencies. But I feel like that's your usual year-to-year progression. So I don't see it as anything that's, a new major task that we have to take on. But, kind of just, your regular season, the season progression, and you're always growing a little bit.
Kyle Juszczyk joining us here on 95.7 The Game. So what has practice been like this week? Does it feel different or just more of the same now that it's Jimmy's show once again? Is there a level of reassurance to have him back there?
Yeah, it's obviously a little bit different than what we've been doing, the past couple weeks or the past couple months, just because it's a different guy in there at quarterback. But at the same time, it's so much of the same because, we're going on the 6th year that Jimmy's been here and been our quarterback. And, yeah, I know there's been, injuries and guys that have come in, but that's a long time, and you build a lot of familiarity over that time. And so a lot of that is just natural when you get back out there that it's like, okay, I'm used to this. I remember this, and it just starts flowing again.
Do you think that the 49ers signing Kurt Benkert to the practice squad undermines your chances at playing quarterback at some point this year?
I sure hope not. Typically we only have 2 quarterbacks active on game day. So if, Jimmy and and Purdy happened to catch a cramp on the same play, I'm going to go out there and shine for at least one.
You're going to throw deep, right? No matter what the play call is?
I don't want to let the defense know, but it's a possibility.
Yeah, the lid's coming off the defense as soon as Kyle Juszczyk's under center.
He's jacking that thing up toward the 5-yard line. He didn't care.
There is no doubt about it. It's obviously been a week of emotion, and you're basically waving goodbye to a quarterback that you were getting to know and you all really liked, and now you're saying hello to a quarterback that in a lot of ways you guys probably are kind of mentally waved goodbye to. In your entire year, in your entire life of playing football, how odd has this season felt so far? Is it one of the weirdest things you've ever been through, or do you get so caught up in the day-to-day business of winning football games that this really doesn't matter to you guys as much as we talk about it?
It's a little bit of both. I do think it is much more overblown in the media than what we really feel. Because, to be quite honest, like, each day when I come to work, I'm worried about my job and what I need to do and all my assignments and all that it's, I'm not focused the whole day on who our quarterback is. Yes, it definitely matters and it comes into play. But we all have our own jobs here. And, a lot of times that takes precedence over, really worrying or concerned, about who's under center.
All that said, do you have a little less faith in your fan base when they were okay when you lost by 9 in Chicago, but absolutely apoplectic when they won by 20 at home against Seattle?
It's a little confusing, but I really do think that we have such a great fan base, and the faithful. I think the true faithful will come around very quickly to the team we are now and what we're going to do going forward. And I know that winning breeds confidence, and I have confidence that this team's going to win a lot of games. And as we do so, everyone's going to be right back with us.
Kyle Juszczyk here on Damon and Ratto. In your 5 seasons now, 5 seasons already. It's gone by fast, hasn't it?
This is 6. This is my 6th with the Niners.
That's right, 6 now. That's how fast it's going by. I can't even count it. Well, in the 5 seasons that you've played, obviously you've had a revolving door of running backs behind you, and the door turns again this year with obviously an injury to Eli Mitchell, and now even Ty Davis-Price is down for a couple weeks. Does your job change at all based on who you're blocking for, or are you throwing the block and it's up to the running back to interpret what the hell to do off of your rear end?
Yeah, you know what? It's a common question that I get as a fullback. And honestly, things don't change too much for me. There's a way in how we coach, the way we block things up. And, each running back is definitely going to have their own flavor. But they're all, generally speaking, trying to accomplish the same thing. And I've been fortunate to have a lot of really good running backs in my room, even when guys go down. Guys that have stepped up have done a really good job of really taking those coaching points. And a lot of times they are helping me set up the block because they know exactly what I'm doing. And it's their job to kind of help me. So, they've just always done such a phenomenal job of just not leaving me on an island and being in sync with me and just both of us knowing what we're trying to accomplish.
How much of an adjustment, if there was any at all, was there between when you got the news of how bad Trey Lance's injury was and how quickly you had to readjust to Jimmy Garoppolo as your full-time all-year starter again? Was there any kind of jarring effect, or is it something that, having played as long as you have, you can now take it completely in your stride?
You know what? It's somewhere in between there, and it's unfortunate. I mean, football is it's a really tough sport, and especially the NFL. This is a tough business that you have to move on quickly, and it's unfortunate because a lot of times that can be interpreted in the wrong way, and it can be interpreted that maybe we didn't care so much for Trey or
right. It looks callous.
You know, you hear that a lot, but we definitely feel for him, man. That was our quarterback. We were committed to him. We thought that Trey was going to have a phenomenal year this year and going forward. But in this sport, you unfortunately you have to move on quickly. And you know, the fact of the matter is, Jimmy's our quarterback right now, and we have to win games now. We can't sulk over Trey being out, and we're going to support him, of course. And you know, we're all reaching out to him, making sure he's okay. But you know, we have to focus on the here and now, and beating the Broncos and doing that with Jimmy as our quarterback.
It feels, Kyle, that Jimmy Garoppolo is really wired in a very unique way. He didn't let his ego get in front of the business that Team Garoppolo, his agents were conducting. He obviously hasn't expressed any hard feelings. Even the harshest Jimmy Garoppolo critic would have to say he is an A-plus professional. Having said all that, now that he's back in this situation, is there any chance we get like straight up evil Jimmy, where he's just going to go off schedule? He's going to do what he wants to do. I'm audibling. I'm throwing deep. I'm Kyle Juszczyk. I'm throwing to the 5-yard line the second I can. Evil Jimmy. What happens with evil Jimmy?
I don't think we're going to see that. Part of me would love to see him, just have that little bit of vengeance in his eye, and out there just kind of trying to stick it to people, because I think a little bit of that will bring a nastiness, a tenacity to him, which I'm sure deep down there's a little bit. But at the end of the day, Jimmy knows how to play the quarterback position here, and I'm sure he's going to keep it between the lines and do what Kyle tells him.
Does it bother? I'm sorry.
Would you like to just see that for one play, though, where the play comes in and he turns to the sideline, flips Shanahan the bird, and then jacks one up?
As long as that play is me on a go route, then yes, I'm 100% in.
Oh, Juszczyk on the wheel route. Write it down, kids. It's how we're opening this game in Denver on Sunday night.
They're saving that for that special moment.
I hope so. Is George Kittle back to rocking his Garoppolo gear, where he's wearing T-shirts of the guy?
You know what? One day in, he's not there yet, but we'll see. I wouldn't put anything past George. He's always here to surprise us, so we'll find out.
I think one of the pleasant surprises of the early season is how the year began with as many questions about the interior offensive line, I think, as you can begin a year that a lot of people hope is going into a positive playoff direction. And it feels like a lot of those questions have been answered early here. Since you're in the blocking business, Kyle Juszczyk, tell us a little bit about this offensive line and what you've seen over the first couple of weeks here, because it looks like guys that the questions were out on, we're getting data points returned, and they're pretty good.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I've been so impressed with our offensive line, especially the young guys in Aaron Banks and Spencer Burford. Our two guards, I think the sky is the absolute limit for those two. Two different techniques, are different types of blockers. Aaron, I feel, is a little more of a road grader, and Burford, I think, he's a little bit of everything, man. He's a serious athlete, and he can do just about anything that we ask him to. And those two had a really good game last week, and it was really good to see, because that was really important for us as a team going forward, as a team who loves to run the ball, that they get off to a good start and, feel some success and get that under their belt, because that's only going to carry them, into this long season. And we think we got something special with those two.
To the extent that you pay attention to the rest of the league and don't actually have Harvard-level hobbies outside of football, is there anything about the league this year that he's either surprised, impressed, or surprised you negatively?
Negatively, or either way?
Or just where you've looked at a team and go, man, I thought they'd be better than that.
Honestly, that's hard, just because it's so early in the season. And I mean, look at us. We were 3-5 last year, and we made it to the NFC Championship. So it's hard to jump to conclusions like that. I'll take it another direction. I've been really pleased with how much fullback action we've been seeing. I feel like every week we've been seeing multiple touchdowns from fullbacks. I have multiple teams now that I can watch that run a similar offense with their fullback. With McDaniel down in Miami, the Broncos run something similar. Even the Bills have used their fullback. He scored the other night. So that's been exciting for me to watch the evolution of that and have some other teams that I can watch and pick up some stuff from what they're doing with their guys.
Does that make you the father of the position now?
I don't want to anoint myself anything or give myself any titles, but
what if we do it?
I'll take it if you guys say so.
So is that testament to how much of a copycat league this is when someone's onto something that works and they're looking at Kyle Shanahan's running game and studying it and try to implementing it in as many cities as possible?
I think every team I've watched now is ran what we call a spirit Zorro, where we have somebody, usually myself, going in a jet sweep motion and double teaming with the tight end on the edge. I think I've seen just about every team in the league run that this year, and I like to think that we started it a couple years back. So yeah, there's definitely a copycat league, and people are going to use what's been successful for other teams.
Why is it called Spirit Zorro? I'm always interested in the origin stories of how plays are called. Ever since we heard the NFL, NFL films, Black 47 Razor, Joe Montana at the line. Where does Spirit Zorro come from?
You know what? You only got me scheduled for 15 minutes. You need another 60 to get to the full explanation of that.
What are you dropping? Is this you city college folks can't keep up with me?
No, it's been a long evolution of how we've gotten to that.
All right, fair enough. I probably don't want to give away your proprietary secrets either. Kyle Juszczyk, again, we really appreciate your time. We don't want to keep you for too much longer. I got two more questions for you. Your entire life, have you ever played in conditions like you played in Chicago?
No, that was definitely the wettest game I've ever played in. That was very unique.
If we had to give a Len Eschman award out today, I'm giving it to Talanoa Hufanga. Who are you giving it to?
I definitely can't argue with that. I think he has really, been the energizer for our team so far, and has really been our best player in the last 2 weeks. And so I'm not going to disagree with you. I think he deserves it.
Looking ahead to Denver, what is job one?
Job one is to go get a win, man. If we can get a big win on Sunday night, 2 in a row, with some momentum going into our next week, I think there are big things ahead for us. How
attuned are you to the criticisms of a new head coach on the other side of the field? It feels like Nathaniel Hackett has had about as rough an entry point as a neophyte head coach can have in the NFL and still sport a 1-1 record.
Yeah, you know what? I'm just being honest. The only thing I had seen was the decision to kick the field goal instead of go for it on 4th and 5. So that's about as in tuned as I am to that. I focus a lot on other teams' defenses, so I haven't caught up on that too much.
Will it be weird to see Russell Wilson in another uniform?
Yeah, there's no question. It even just seeing him on TV in a different uniform has been weird. So that's going to be even extra weirder when we, play him in person.
When you cook a steak, what's your technique? You a grill guy, broiler, cast iron pan? How do you do it?
I'm cast iron all day.
Strong. Do you preheat the cast iron in the oven, or do you throw it on the burner first? Because I would recommend popping that cast iron in about a 500-degree oven before you even throw it on top of the stove. Get that sucker just sizzling hot.
That's a good tip. I haven't heard that one. I get it heated on the burner before I put my steak down, but I haven't done it in the oven. I like the idea there.
See, this is what they teach you when you go to Indiana University, but you didn't, so you don't know these things. No, hey,
that's why they call them meatheads.
Thank you very much, Ray. Kyle, our friends at Harris Ranch Beef are going to give you a 10-pound package of prime porterhouse steaks. They're coming to you. We do hope you enjoy them.
They'll definitely get some use in my household, so I'm looking forward to it.
Outstanding. Thank you so much for joining us. I can't help but notice whenever the 49ers have something odd or difficult to explain, you are always that week's guest. Always. And that means they trust you to come out, get it right, say it right. I love the little mathematical explanation we got earlier today. I do think we have a better understanding of things now that we've talked to you. We really, really appreciate it. Good luck in Denver, and thank you so very much.
No, I appreciate it, guys. Good talking with you.
Thank you so much. Kyle Juszczyk, 49er fullback.